evening. This is a town hall. This is not an official meeting. There's no gavel. There's no parliamentary procedure or anything like that. We are your friends and neighbors, your elected officials in Jefferson County. I just want to go around and introduce ourselves first. For those of you we haven't met yet, my name is Pasha. I'm on the county commission. I live in Harpers Ferry. Oh yeah, great.
I'm Bill Ridenauer, delegate for District 100, which obviously incorporates the mountain. Hopefully everybody knows that, but goes all the way up to Shepherdstown as well. And I am absolutely thrilled that we're here being able to talk with you all about some of the issues we do face on the mountain. And I do live on the mountain, so this is an area I love.
Patricia Rucker, State Senator for the 16th District, and I also live on the mountain. And the 16th District is all of Jefferson County and a portion of Berkeley County. Have all Bunker Hill, Inwood, all the way up to the city of Martinsburg.
Well, you can tell by my uniform, I'm the sheriff of Jefferson County. I'm Tom Hanson.
Thank you, Sheriff Hanson. One of the reasons that we're here tonight is that oftentimes in politics, you have different government agencies who are responsible for different things. And elected officials will sometimes take the easy way out and say, well, it's not my fault. It's his fault. Or it's not my fault. It's her fault. Or go call them or go stand in line over there. And Senator Rucker, Delegate Ridenauer, Sheriff Hanson, and I said, you know, let's change how we do things. Let's all get together at the same time, different levels of government, and say, how can we work together to address a problem that we've heard from our friends and neighbors is running rampant on the mountain? And that's why we're here tonight. We're here to talk about roads, road maintenance, and all associated issues related to roads, because we know it's a huge problem on the mountain, and we really want to hear from you. Delegate Ridenauer, what has been your experience hearing from folks over the past couple of years?
Well, I would like to let folks know that we do have some folks from the Department of Transportation here. One is our traffic engineer, Ken Clowen, and I cannot remember your name real quick. He's our new traffic maintenance engineer from District 5. And can you? Kyle Baranowski. Okay. So, yeah, thank you very much for being here. We appreciate that. And we want to try and work very closely with the Department of Transportation to improve some of the issues that we do have on the mountain. Some of the issues that I see within Jefferson County, and it's something that I brought up to the Department of Transportation, and I'm going to continue to try and work on these issues, is in particular in the Shannondale area, we have a problem with a single exit for a very large population. I estimate that there's probably 5,000 people that live south of Charlestown Pike 115. And in the event of any kind of an emergency, my biggest concern is a wildfire. It's an issue I've brought up frequently, that we would have a serious, very serious problem on 115 if that fire would reach Mission Road, trying to move those vehicles up that way. So my concern is to try and make sure that we are ensuring the safety of the people in Shannondale. I had similar concerns further north along Hostler Road and on Chestnut Hill, where we have essentially the same situation, not as large a population, but actually probably a more problematic exit situation, in that you would have to go up Chestnut Hill if you're in the Blue Ridge Acres, Silver Grove area, to Route 9. If you're looking at a east-west or a west-east fire, that would potentially put you in the path of the fire. So those are issues that are significant. I've raised those issues with the Department of Transportation. I'm going to continue to work on those issues, trying to identify a means for a second exit. That potentially means pushing something with our congressional delegation to get the Federal Department of Transportation involved, and trying to resolve some issues with the state of Virginia. to either facilitate some kind of exit through the properties to the south or finding some other option. I frankly don't believe a bridge is an option across the Shenandoah. I mean, I've already been told, and I'm pretty sure Ken would confirm it, that a bridge cost the Shenandoah would cost us somewhere around $25 million. Is that correct, Ken, or somewhere around that? Okay, I've heard that number from someone in the Department of Transportation in the recent past. So I feel, given the way bridge building goes, 25 million is probably the bottom end, and it probably would go higher. So I'm not sure that that's a feasible solution for us. Relative to the Hostler Road, Chestnut Hill, I think there are some options for better access onto and off of Route 9. We have some issues there relative to the Charlestown Pike Route 9 and Chestnut Hill Route 9 intersection. So those are two of my major issues. I don't want to dominate too much more. I want Patricia to have an opportunity to bring up some issues as well.
Well, when Bill says that he's working on these things, I want you to understand that Delegate Ridenhour is relentless down in Charleston. He does not ever stop, and he pursues and he persists and he follows up, and he truly is working really hard on all the issues that he hears from you guys when he knocks on your door and you tell him about the problem. So I want to make sure that you understand what an amazing treasure we have in Delegate Ridenhour. Until he was elected, we didn't have any delegate representing us from the mountain. And he really, truly has been the best, at least for us here. So after saying that, I will tell you, in addition to those concerns, we also know about the issues with the roads, with the water, and how it's just very difficult, especially in Shenandoah, but also in some areas of Keys Ferry, West Ridge Hills. So because we live on a mountain, we're gonna have water. It's gonna go downhill. And if you don't have a way to direct it, it is going to cause erosion. It is gonna cause problems. And of course, all of us who live here know if it freezes, then you have pure ice that you have to navigate through. So those issues have been exacerbated by the growth in population. So as more houses get built, more water issues escalate. And that is not, I want to clarify, the fault of Department of Highways. For those who don't know, the Department of Highways was given the order to adopt orphan roads, and I don't remember the year. And when that law passed for them to adopt the orphan road, they only had the obligation to maintain it at the level in which they adopted it. They have no obligation to improve it. Despite that, because of the persistence of a lot of us, and I'm very grateful, willing Department of Highway workers, they have actually done some upgrading in terms of the culverts. When the culverts needed to be replaced, they have put culverts that are bigger and more adequate. So on their own, they've just been trying to do a little bit at a time. But it's impossible for them to keep up with the growth as it has been. And you know, all of you who are part of that growth, who have moved to, you know, this area, you're seeing it firsthand. We're not able to keep up. A lot of the problems are caused, you know, you have more vehicles traveling more and more on these roads, and you have bigger vehicles, and you have a lot more damage done to the road. So all of those things escalate. So we know, I want you to know, we know that this is the issue. They know. We have had many, many talks with the Department of Highways, not just locally, but head of the state. And we've been discussing what we can do about those things. I don't necessarily want to get to that point right now, but I just wanted to present that is one of the many things that we have been working on.
Sure. One of the things that I know anyone that's lived in Jefferson County for any length of time knows that Shenandoah at one time was a recreational place. Yeah, it was, huh?
Gated community.
Right, well, not just that, I'm saying a recreational community. There were people that came here in April and left again in October. And they weren't, so the roads in those days weren't a big deal. As you know, as Senator Rucker has stated, when you get a spring thaw, right, my deputies, thank God we're all in four-wheel drives now, but at one time couldn't get to wherever. And we had a lot of, let's say, break-ins, right? Somebody broke into the house and we come in and go to the location of the crime and go, well, we closed the house up in November and now it's April. So it happened sometime between November and April. But the roads themselves haven't been, except for as Senator Rucker says, haven't been improved. They've been kept at the same location. Westridge Hills, if anyone lives there that's here, the spring thaw, the main road heading up is actually just one big rut. And we know it. And unfortunately, a lot of times there's not a whole lot we can do about it, except as my deputies do respond to the location. I really haven't, we've talked to the Secretary of Treasury of the Transportation. The three of us were there for a meeting with him, explaining the problems we have in Jefferson County, especially up on the mountains. He was, how to say, receptive, but it all comes back down to money. All right. And a lot of you know, we have the highest median income in the state. We pay more taxes than anybody else in the state, but a lot of times, and I'm going to be perfectly honest, the Eastern Panhandle is forgotten sometimes, unfortunately.
Hey, can I bring up one issue, or I would like to give the District 5 folks some time if we can,
Absolutely, yeah.
before we start taking questions. Ken in particular, and Travis, can you address some of the issues that homeowners, other folks who live up on the mountain can take to try and help improve the situation on the roads? In particular, when I was out driving with Travis Ray, the previous maintenance engineer, he brought up the issues of driveway culverts and ditches as water management, and water being the greatest enemy of the roads we face up there. If you wouldn't mind addressing that just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring over a microphone, and as I do, I'm gonna say a couple of nice things. Folks, just so you know, these guys are the good guys. We are not a wealthy state, okay? We have a very limited budget, and it has to be chopped up and allocated accordingly. They don't have to be here tonight. They are here to answer questions and provide their expertise, and we're very grateful that you all made time here. The analogy I heard when we were talking to Secretary Rumbaugh from some of the staff is, look, you asked me to go buy $300 worth of groceries to feed a family, and you give me $100 to do it. You know, it's tough. So I just want to set the stage and have everybody understand that the road spending needs as a state that we have far exceed the budget allocated. So they're doing the best with the tools that they have.
Hello, thank you guys for inviting me down.
Can you hold it up close?
Hold it up close? All right, how's this?
Yep.
All right, as I said, I'm acting new. I've worked at the Division of Highways for 15 years. I'm not new to the Division of Highways. So 14 years and 10 months of my career, I have inspected bridges, designed bridges, built bridges, been in charge of bridge maintenance crews. So to take on the roads is literally learning something new. It's not the goal had at the DOH. It's more of, we've had a lot of turnover. The private sector can offer double the salary. We're under a flat budget this year. That means our budget is exactly the same as last year's budget. If you guys have been to the grocery store, the gas station, anywhere you guys do business, does the stuff cost less than last year? So we're losing people and we're not gaining anyone. I start on that because the commissioner mentioned the budget, so I just kind of hit you hard right out. So I'll tell you that, and then the kind of work backwards from the driveways, what you all can do to help out. Every driveway that ties into a state maintained road should be permitted. This is a free permit. This is actually a permit that says you are allowed to tie into a road because you cross this gray area that we all talk about, the right of way. That's where our drainage and our ditching and everything would be. When you get a permit, there's a few things for your driveway. On the DOH website, you can go to our permit portal, and you can apply. A representative, a permitting technician, he's gonna come out. The main thing we're concerned with your driveway is your site distance. That's when you pull out the end of your driveway, you can see around this column. You're not looking at this column, trying to blindly pull out into our road. This is for everyone's safety. This is called site distance. You can look up the road each direction. So we're checking to make sure your driveway is in a safe location. This is your responsibility if it's unsafe. There might be some bank shaving, remove a nice butterfly bush that you may have at the end of your driveway. We don't hate your bush, but we want you to safely pull out. And it gets to this point, people think we just go down. So keeping the things off of our right of way, the edge of your yard tying into the road, that's the Orphan Road or the Harp Road, like up at Shenandoah, for instance. There is a perceived right of way, should be clear. This is where the drainage ditches we can put in and everything. It is your property, but it's not property, the right of way. The culvert, when the permitting person will come out, they will decide if your driveway either needs a culvert or doesn't need a culvert. Not all driveways need a culvert. Normal size minimum would be 15-inch culvert. This is your responsibility to purchase. We could work with you. Not everybody has a method to put a culvert in, install your own culvert. If that's the hang up and you're going through the permitting process in the official way, there are some assistance the DOH can help you, because ultimately we are trying to get the drainage, because water is the #1 killer of roads. In the winter time, the solution isn't to dump salt onto a road to get rid of it. The salt is aiding us. We're actually trying to use the least amount of salt on the roads. Salt accelerates the deterioration of roads by leaps and bounds. We cannot put salt on a gravel road or a thinly paved road, because it will turn what's under that road to mud. And it will stay mud forever till we dig it up, replace the subgrade, put the road back. So the water, when it flows too quickly, one of the panel up here mentioned that we're getting more. When we develop a lot, new house goes in, your neighbors, they got rid of the vegetation and made it grass. That makes the water run fast. There's not more water, it just runs fast. When that does, that's what cuts the ruts into the gravel roads. So we can work together, you actually improving your property in a way that would help to facilitate the drainage that your property creates and ultimately comes into our right of way and our ditches, which this is what we take care of. So getting your driveway permitted correctly, to get the right culvert if it's needed. Another thing would be, we will ask you to gravel the end of your driveway in a certain manner. This will help if your driveway is unimproved from you tracking the dirt and mud on to the state maintained road. So we're not making the problem worse with the dirt and mud tracked onto our road. Because all that dirt and mud gets right back into the ditch. One of the biggest complaints or concerns, it's not really a complaint, more of a concern, the culverts are plugging up or filling in. A lot of times they're driveway culverts. Whose responsibility is the driveway culvert? Homeowner, that's your driveway. However, it's our ditches running in the right of way. So that's why I call it kind of, it's a little bit of a gray area. We're kind of sharing that area. So when there's a big rain event, culvert clogs, the water's gonna go across the road, it's gonna cut across the road. So we're gonna have to come in and stabilize the road. After a rain event, we have to stabilize a lot of the roads. So we can't get to yours immediately. Roadways are prioritized. We're going to I-81 first, always. Then we're going to US 340.
I-81, Interstate 81.
Yeah. District 5 is 7 counties, in case you guys aren't aware. In the eastern, we take care of the entire eastern Panhandle / Potomac Highland. Once we get down, I'm from Hardy County, so I'm from the most southern point. I hear that maybe we ignore Jefferson County here, because the headquarters is in Burlington, it's in Mineral County. So we have to take that flat budget and then prioritize it. So in snow and ice removal, we have an organization that takes care of the paving and I-80. If they need help, we have to send workers from the rest of the district. We have a central heavy maintenance. Those guys are going there. If I-81, the event's big enough, 340 needs more help. So by the time we get down, the folks that live on the Harp roads or the orphan roads, such as Shannondale, it could be over a week by the time we get to you guys. And it's happened before. I myself live on a priority 3 road. In Hardy County, US 48, Corridor H, has blown through from Wardensville all the way through District 5. So our portion now, and that's where a lot of the DOH focus is going to be for major construction, is to finish Wardensville to the Virginia state line. So a lot of that big project money are already divvying out Charles. So I myself live on a priority 3 route. I know what it means to wait a week. When you're essential to the DOH, you might have to get out of your road to make sure that you can facilitate the rest of the district. So I do understand that that is frustrating when a few days go by, you're still looking out. And the worst is all the other vehicles that are four-wheel drive, big Jeeps, they are using the road, hacking everything down. And that just makes our SRIC efforts worse. So with that, I hope I've answered the.
Well, that's what we wanted to.
Oh, Benny, okay.
Thanks.
Well, one question I have, that folks may not ask, but, I just want to try and let folks know. If they want to have you all take an assessment of their property, the culverts, the ditches, whether or not they need to make any improvements that would help maintain the roads, how would they do that?
Okay. If you don't know that you have a driveway permit, that would be the kind of the first part to say, we all have a driveway. Usually unless you live right on a city street, you parallel park, everything. Everyone has a little driveway. If you know it's not permitted, go ahead and go to that permit portal, the WVDOT website, and go ahead and apply for one. If historically your property already has one, it may be in a previous homeowner's name. That's okay. We might come out, look at it, say everything's still good, your driveway culvert's still okay. We'll reissue a permit in your name. These are free. It sounds really official, but it's not that official, the process and everything. There's a portal and everything. These used to be like hand typed on typewriter and submitted, and it was a very old school process. So the portal and everything is to bring it up to technology. So with you hear permit, you're like, oh, building permit. Wow, that's like drawings. We're going to the courthouse. We're paying big money. Inspectors are coming out, bust you on things. There will be a permit guy, but he's coming out to tell you the best way. We like the plastic culverts now. The old metal culverts, they rot out in the bottom. So they spend a little bit more money now. The plastic and the metal's getting pretty close, and your culvert's essentially gonna last forever. That's gonna bring the permitting technician out to check your site distance, so that permit brings out that service. Another way, and this will be for all concerns that you have, not just if you'd like to know if your drainage is good in front of your house, if there's anything you can do. It's called a SWAT. Something with action today, it's an acronym, it's what SWAT means. On my end, I don't, and we're actually gonna get one for you all that's called a trip. And so you guys are gonna have your own SWAT too. So that is an improvement that DOT's doing. Any concern that you have, you can, and most of them, if they're traffic related, go straight to Ken. A lot of the, I'm gonna call them lower level, when are you gonna come ditch? The grass is too high. It's actually affecting my turning out of my road because I can't see very well. These will all go to the county themselves. You guys might know the county administrator in Jefferson County. Those will go to him or one of his top guys at Jefferson County. The ones that come to me and I see them all, by the way. I see all of the SWAT. So I kind of go down through and that's to kind of make sure that employees are doing their job, you know, doing these SWATs, answering them properly.
Do you mean the county administrator for your department?
Yes,
Yes.
the Jefferson County Division of Highways Administrator.
I was gonna tell you, I've never seen one.
Sorry. My county
Well,
administrator.
Travis, I do wanna two things add to what you're saying. So one, when you talked about the prioritization, I will say that the Jefferson County DOH has done a much better job of understanding the inherent risks of folks driving on the mountain with the curves and the hills. And
no signs.
yes, and anyways, they're doing a lot better at getting to the mountain sooner. So I do want to mention that. I mean, I've been here now 20 years and it used to be a lot worse. Second of all, that I wanted to clarify. So the Department of Highways in West Virginia is funded through the gasoline tax that we put on gasoline and what you pay at the DMV. That is their budget. Every so often, the state of West Virginia, the legislature decides to put additional money. Like we want them to do, listen, get some of these projects off the list, or, you know, we want you to focus on potholes because it was a really bad winter and we'll give them additional money, but they're funded by the gasoline taxes. So when you buy gasoline in West Virginia, they get a portion, and the DMV, what you pay at the DMV, all of it, anything you do at the DMV, they get those funds. And with those funds, they run the DMV and they run all of the Department of Highway and all the roads. So when you hear that they have a flat budget. I mean, it is dependent on how much people are driving, how many people are visiting the state, buying gasoline, how many new vehicles they get. And so I just want you to understand that that is how the budget for the Department of Highway works. Sorry.
If I can bring up one other issue that was alluded to, and it's something we at the state level are fighting constantly, and that is locality pay. That's a dirty word down in Charleston. It's not a word a phrase we use anymore because it turns the rest of the state off. But that locality pay is what determines how many folks we actually have within DOH to work on issues in Jefferson, the rest of the Eastern Panhandle. We can't pay the same amounts Loudoun, Washington, Frederick counties pay. So as a result, we have a lot of folks in this area who work obviously in those areas. And it isn't just the Department of Highways, it's obviously teachers, et cetera. But we're focused right now on the road issues and Department of Highways. They can't pay their folks any more than they can pay folks with 1/3 the cost of living that they're enduring up here. So that's something we're continuing to work on at the state legislature level. We will fight to try and get the employees of DOH paid in a way that would attract the numbers and the quality of folks that we need to actually work the issues up here.
Should we ask for? Yeah.
Yes, so.
We get comments from the audience, the town hall, we'd love to hear from you. Hey, we're gonna bring you a microphone so everybody can hear. It'll be there in 5, 4, 3.
I think that one of the problems on the mountain and with funds, that are paid for the DMV is that a lot of people move into the mountain and don't register their vehicles for West Virginia. I mean, 30 years ago, when I moved up on the mountain, I was educated by a traffic stop on Mission Road asking me, I had a Virginia license. I had just moved in like 30 days, and the gentleman explained to me, you have 30 days to, and there's, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Virginia tags.
Yes, ma'am. And let me explain the difficulties we have with that, okay? In other states, I'm gonna use Maryland, for example. If an officer sees a car parked in a driveway for more than 45 days, they can cite the vehicle in order to get the owner to come in and change their tags. In West Virginia, I have to stop you. Okay, if I see you driving down the road like I have made a stop, my child's a honor student at Wright Denny School and you've got Virginia tags. That's probable cause to believe that you're haven't registered your car. Okay? That's the problem here, is that we have to stop you, and we used to do the road traffic, but Supreme Court doesn't allow us to do that anymore because there's no way around it. So we can't stop you coming out of Mission Road because it has to give you an alternate route by Supreme Court decision. So we can't do that anymore. So back to what I'm saying is that I have to have probable cause to believe that you're doing something wrong. And if I see you and you've done a traffic violation, I might deputy stop you, and you have a Virginia license and you have West Virginia tags because you bought a new car and registered in West Virginia, but you haven't made it to the DMV to get a new license, right? Or vice versa. That's when I can go, okay, you violated West Virginia code and I can cite you for that. But I can't do it unless I have probable cause to stop you and reason to believe that you're an out-of-state tag. I can come by and put a letter on your car. My reserves have done that many times. We send them out and they put letters on the cars, you're out of state. But again, unless we're sitting waiting for you to pull out of your residence and pull you over because now we believe that car's been sitting there for 30 days and now you're driving it and you haven't re-registered in West Virginia, that's when we can do it. But unfortunately, that's the way it is. And believe me, that's one of the biggest complaints I get as the sheriff, about people living in my neighborhood that have tags over in it. And I'm going to tell you that just recently, in the last a month or 2 months or 3 months, I've become up to full staff for the first time in 5 years. All right? And so my deputies are out there. I'm gonna tell you, my deputies handle between 400, 700 calls of service a week. Okay? My deputies are out there, but unfortunately, your house being broken into and your neighbor has out-of-state tags, it's a little different, okay? But again, that's the problem with that, is that we literally have to catch you in the car in order to cite you. And again, I can't, Mission Road, like I said, Sheriff Sensini, we would do that once a year, typically around before the change of the season, we'd be out there and stopping every car coming out of Mission Road. But Supreme Court says, no, you can't do that. So, but we're trying, and we do the best we can with out-of-state tags.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Yeah, real quick, I'm gonna be working with the sheriff, and I've been talking about it for a couple of years to introduce legislation that will make it easier to do that. With the change in the way that we do personal property taxes, there's far less reason now to maintain out-of-state tags on your vehicles, and it would in fact help our road fund to have those vehicles registered in West Virginia. And there really is no good reason to keep Maryland and Virginia or Pennsylvania or Texas or wherever. I've seen, you name a state, I've seen it, and somebody's living there with Alaska tags for like a couple of years. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes it's military. Not that many though. I was in the military, remember?
Correct me if I'm wrong, sir. You said, oops, sorry. You said that you cannot do checkpoints for Mission Road because the Supreme Court said there needs to be a alternate way around. Correct, okay. So,
Yes, sir.
I've been here coming up on 20 years probably.
Okay.
I live in Shenandoah.
Yeah.
I'm here tonight because of the notice I got from Representative Rednauer.
Mm-hmm.
And he remembers me. I brought this up a couple of times with him, routes out of Shenandoah because of Mission Road.
Yes, sir.
One way. Not 200 yards, Trail of Tears can connect to Shenandoah. You can get a bulldozer through there, knock it down, make it a gravel road. There's your alternate route out. You can set up your checkpoint, and we have a second route out of Shenandoah.
And I would also like to see something at the end of Mission Road that could take you into Ravens Rock. Okay, and maybe it's an emergency exit. But yes, sir, until that happens, right?
Who wants to run a bulldozer?
The sheriff and I have been on every one of those. There's three different alternatives. There's three alternative emergency routes that we could create. I've been working to try and get that done for 3 years now. And I'm gonna continue to work on those. He and I've been to every single one of these and walked them, so, yeah.
And for people who don't know, I'm a retired deputy from this county, okay? The Chief Fogel and I have gone over this for years about only one way in, one way out. If we get a fire like in Hardy County or something like in California, all right, there are gonna be people waiting across the Shenandoah River. All right, and I'm not being facetious and I'm not making a point. There are gonna be people waiting across the Shenandoah in order to get away from the flames. Right, and Delegate Ridenhour, Senator Rucker, and I all know the problem. And we have been beating our heads against the wall, including Chief Kogel, right? He's the biggest advocate for another way out of here before somebody has a problem.
And so do our congressional representation, because we've been nagging the heck out of them too.
Is there any liability associated now that we all know that everybody's aware of the issue? If a tree, which is more likely to happen in a giant fire, but a tree comes down across the road.
Say that as much as the drought we've had, I couldn't say that either, but yeah.
Tree comes down across Mission Road, somebody calls 911, they need an ambulance to get to the hospital, the ambulance can't get in. People can't get out, they die in their house. What kind of liability does that put onto you all now that Everybody knows about the issue.
We already know about the many issues and dangers, and, I mean, I will tell you, this is one of the reasons for, as we grow in population, the likelihood of catastrophic, problems just continue to escalate, and we have brought that to the awareness. Unfortunately, that does not mean that we're getting the money to actually fix it and to do those issues. So we are working on it, and we're trying to get folks to understand the danger before it happens. But just like it took me some 20-some years to get something to be done about the rocks falling on Chestnut Hill Road, and then they only fixed it on 340 and not Chestnut Hill Road. Yeah, I can tell you, you can definitely plead your case, and you can argue and you can fight, and it doesn't mean you're always gonna get what's necessarily gonna happen. I will tell you though, I want to give a little bit of like good news. Not gonna have too much good news tonight, but I do think there is going to be a difference with the new governor that we have, who understands all these same things and lives in Shannondale. And I think, he is working on changing how decisions are made and how things are prioritized, and that is to our advantage. So I do want you to have hope. It's been a lot of our head hitting the wall, but I have hope. And I'm sorry, he had his hand up first, so.
Can I
It's you.
just real quickly address liability? Frankly, I don't know, so I'm gonna bring it up, because we do need to understand who would have liability in the event of, you know, a death or something like that due to a problem that we've identified. And it's not like this is not an unknown problem. This is something that's, as the sheriff has said, has been discussed for probably a dozen or more years, probably, or even more.
Yeah, anybody can sue anybody for anything, so, yeah.
Doesn't mean you win.
Well, thank you very much, Manuel. 4 years, right by Gate Tree and Upper Clubhouse and Mission Road. And I have 3 things I would like to mention. Most of it, I heard that we went to the parade in Martinsburg this last week, and one of the sheriffs won like $240-something million, and he donated vehicles and everything. I heard that. That was incredible.
It was Tom, and
Yeah.
he's gonna donate it all. For the road.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
We went to the parade and we were talking to some of the sheriffs over there, and they told us that the sheriff won millions of dollars and he donated vehicles. That's great. So if we ever win a lottery, some of us, we should donate for the Jefferson County, okay?
We have, right now, the county commission, we've taken on a new program and we're leasing our vehicles, and so that we have better vehicles. But our older ones, are pretty much run to death, 160,000 miles on it, and hard run police miles. They're pretty much at their end, as far as a vehicle goes. A lot of them we donate to I give them to our reserve or our volunteers, because they're my eyes and ears, and they're the ones you see at the parades, and they're the ones you see riding around in what has Sheriff's Reserve on it. They're a great organization, and they're all volunteers, and they're required to give 1,000 hours a year as a volunteer, and some give many, many more. But vehicles, not so much.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And thank you mostly.
Yeah, and I just wanted to jump in on funding. First of all, the county commission supported the sheriff's initiative for leasing vehicles, which is a fiscally conservative proposal that's going to save all taxpayers money. And so thank you for that ingenuity in how you run your department. The county commission also implemented a new policy this year based on feedback that we got from all of you last year. And the new policy is something called an impact fee. That refers to new housing coming into Jefferson County. One of the things we heard, in fact, it's come up like 3 or 4 times tonight, all this new housing is coming in and it's increasing our need for infrastructure. How are we gonna pay for it? Well, the county commission, I'm the chairman of the county commission, and we said, well, we're gonna raise the value of an impact fee. Used to be under 2,000, now it's at 9,500. That means if you want to build a new house in Jefferson County, you're gonna have to contribute more to the sheriff. You're gonna have to contribute more to emergency services. You're gonna have to contribute more to schools because we need the new residents to pay, or at least help pay for the infrastructure that we need to build to accommodate them. I just think that's more fair. That's what I've heard, from my friends and neighbors. You know, I live in Harpers Ferry, and, I just think it's a smart policy. So we're trying to, address that need, as we go along with that new policy of impact fees.
Okay,
Manuel?
for the Department of Transportation and Mission Road, we need to have more signs for deer. There's no signs about deer crossing. We all have maybe hit a deer. There's so many deer all the time. They're coming out again. So we need those signs to reinforce the road, Mission Road with deer signs. The speed limits are incredible. People drive 60 miles per hour, 55, all the way Mission Road. And it's very dangerous for families. There has been accidents in there. And also, we have a complaint, mostly, we don't know how to be reinforced this problem, but the noise, the mufflers that people use with ATVs, with motorcycles, with racing cars. Seems like it's a racing track, Mission Road at Upper Clubhouse, at the stop sign is an intersection. It's like they're just waiting to, after the stop, to run high noise. That's a nuisance. Is it disturbing the peace? There's a bill, 457 by Senator White. There's a bill of that, and it's a crime. But he's going to lose the value on the property without noise if we want to sell our property.
I understand. I'm going to let you know, ATVs and UTVs are a bane in my side, okay? Honestly, I'm sorry?
Same here.
All right, and it took the legislature years to even pass something to control them, because in the southern part of the state, where the kids are acres and miles away from each other, that's how they get around, okay? Here in the populated counties, they're a pain in the, you know where, all right? And we get a constant call. Hell, my wife's cousin's husband texts me on a constant basis about ATVs in his neighborhood. And I send deputies up because there's no law against them now. So, and the noise complaint, it doesn't take effect till 10 o'clock, and it has to go on for 30 minutes straight. And I have to bring a decimeter up to take an average of the sound. It's really a long process. And I don't mean to tell you that I can't enforce it, but I can enforce it, right? And so we send deputies up, and they come to somebody that has their ATVs, and we tell them, you can't ride on this area, you can't ride on their property. And then we leave. And then guess what? Okay. All right, they call us back again, and we're back up again. Again, ATVs, UTVs, and dirt bikes are a bane in my side, because really, it's really so difficult to enforce it. The state took some states this year. They make them that you can register them now. If you have turn signals and brake lights and rear view mirrors, you can tag with them, and they can run up and down the road legally. Whether they have to have mufflers or not, that I don't know. But the point is that it's all certain. Go ahead.
But I just want to bring up one thing. There's nothing we can do at the state level. The rest of the state will shoot that. I've talked with folks down there. They are disinterested in doing any kind of significant regulation relative to ATVs or UTVs. And I don't want to throw Pasha under the bus, but it's really more of where you need to look at the county. So having thrown you under the bus.
Sorry, local ordinances.
At least you're not throwing me under the ATV.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that I have broached the concerns about ATVs. They do have to be registered. They do have to be registered. They are supposed to be licensed if they're going to be on a state road. But again, do we want our sheriff deputies out on the road worrying about that, or worrying about speeders, worrying about robberies, worrying about the drugs. So I do share that concern with the ATVs, and that same person that texts you, texts me.
I understand. And I don't mean to take it all up with ATVs, but, it really is a tough thing to do. And they can go, if they go into a field, they can go across the road to go to the field. They can drive through out of their neighborhood to go to a field, to ride in the field. Now, whether or not the farmer gives them permission to ride in the field or not, or the owner of that field gives them permission, is another thing. But it doesn't seem to be, there don't seem to be a grasp that it's against the law or it's not against the law. It really is so tough to enforce it. And I have deputies out all the time. And like I said, I'll have deputies come up and talk to the people that have the ATVs, and they say, okay, we won't do it anymore. And they leave, and guess what? They're doing it again. And I don't know what the answer is. It's kind of like somebody that's lost their license because of drinking and driving. Just because they doesn't have a license doesn't mean they don't drive. So
There's not only ATVs, there's vehicles, trucks, racing cars, like, that's mostly the scandal. They're vehicles. And one more thing is that we know all of you, we have the privilege to know all of you, and we are so proud to have representatives like you in our county. We're very happy to have you. We vote for you every time. Thank you.
Tom, I'm glad you're here, because one of the concerns that, no, it's good. It's, one of the concerns that a lot of us who live on the mountain, my wife and I have lived on the mountain for nearly 20 years. And the medical response has been great. I actually had a stroke in 2019, and the paramedics were at my house in 10 minutes, and they actually saved my life, and I have no after.
thank God.
The criminal element has largely, from our perspective, left Shannondale alone, maybe primarily because there's only one exit out of the community.
Possibly.
And that we're all armed, is also another aspect of it. But, seriously, there was a robbery 2 streets above us. We're about halfway up the mountain. And it was a couple of chuckleheads, and they picked a house that had somebody in the house. You probably remember this.
Yes, sir.
And the man fired at them, and they took off. And they were on every camera.
Yes.
All throughout the community. And these guys are so stupid, they chose a truck with logos on it, so that they would be easy to find.
Sometimes we don't catch them because they're rocket scientists.
So one of the concerns, we all know that the community is an exit off of the methamphetamine freeway coming from Baltimore.
Yes, sir.
The concern we have is if you open up the end of Mission Road, now you've got 2 exits, 2 ways for them to come in and get out.
One of the things we talked about, and we talked to Chief Kogel and is making that an emergency exit only, have something across it so that it would be, if DOH could send out a signal to it, it opens the gate kind of thing. We don't know exactly how, but I know that the people that live in Ravens Rock will be, especially the ones in Virginia, will be screaming, ranting, and raving because of all the traffic coming out of Mission Road, instead of them coming down and going out Mission and going up and through Hillsborough and stuff like that, that all of a sudden they're on Route 9 again. So that it may be an answer, but I also think the answer being that it had to be an emergency exit only kind of thing. So there's some sort of a barrier across that could be opened in case of emergencies or whatever. So yes, sir, I understand.
Comment on that?
Sure.
Really glad the sheriff brought this up. I think that's something we should look at. I do think having a second exit off the mountain is a double-edged sword. Because if we make it easier to get out and it's easier to get in, now you can turn into a cut through. Because we have a lot of people, and this is gonna increase, commuting back from Loudoun County, commuting back from Fairfax County, maybe even DC. And sometimes when you improve your quality of life, one of the things you have to watch out for is your neighborhood becomes more desirable for other people to move in, which is the problem. Trying to, we got too many people moving in, right? So if you make it more attractive for development, it can come back to bite you a little bit. So I'm not saying I'm against it. I actually think it's a really good idea, but I like the idea of, can we make it, for emergencies only? I don't know how that works, but I think that's very appealing.
I didn't think of this before, but could you please identify yourself when you ask your question so that we know who it is that's asked the question?
Hi, ongoing, Gate One, Shannondale. I was wondering, with all the explosive growth around Jefferson County and in Charlestown, and there's not been much done to the roads, and I get it, it takes time, but is there any way to open up turning lanes? Approaching Walmart, when you're coming past Walmart up to the next light to turn right off of, 340 onto 9 West towards Martinsburg, crossing the bridge to get, I know it's tight there and there's a bridge wall, but we need to get the people who are getting off the road.
And I understand, and believe me, if these two gentlemen are to be the ones to talk to, and listen, we've been fighting when Customs and Border Protection put that new light, they had that new light put in for the exit of Customs and Border Protection. If you come down 340, right, heading, well, actually eastbound, we say 340 north, but you come downhill, there's a light, and then 500 feet down the street is another light. And we've been trying to get that first light taken out of there. Senator Rucker knows it. They'll get Ridenhour knows about it. I get complaints all the time about the two lights that are right down the street from each other. And we brought that up to the Secretary of Transportation. And these are the gentlemen that would be handling that. And it's really that light coming down that's at 230 or Shepherdstown Pike is almost a hazard, because they have to have a warning light because it's a blind hill. And if they took it out, they would be able to took that light out and block that road. They could make the left at the next one in front of Customs and Border Protection. But believe me, this has been an ongoing thing about traffic turn signals and turn lanes and taking roads out.
Yeah, right there, Ken.
You got it.
I'll try to answer the questions about the turn lanes. We do have one project planned. I believe it's just in the design phase to extend the right turn lane into Walmart and also the left turn lane coming from Harpersbury towards Charlestown in that area. Unfortunately, the Adam Link Bridge would take widening the bridge in order to add a right turn lane there. We've been trying to get a more comprehensive study of that interchange to see what other improvements have been made, but we haven't been able to get that started yet. Did that answer the question?
The white line. People said, oh, yeah. Move that white line over a little bit. Trust me, people will.
I understand it's because there's a lot of trucks on that road, then that would cause some other problems, putting the trucks over there, but we try to do that.
And I have to tell you, the trucks that block visibility. So there's been times in which I'm behind a truck and I cannot tell that the stoplight is red. So, and they seem to blow through those lights, but could be catastrophic. So having additional lanes, I think, is definitely a very good point.
I have a general point to make. The point was raised, we got a lot of housing coming in these towns and cities. I just wanted to give you all some stats, because I think there's a misperception or misunderstanding out there that the county government is approving a lot of housing projects around the county. There's a lot of housing going in, but when you look at the numbers, actually the vast majority of it's going into our municipalities. That's our cities and towns. So when you look at the numbers, actually, let's do a game really quick. Who thinks that the county's approving 100% of the housing? Just raise your hand. Okay, who thinks it's 75% of the housing? Raise your hand. Or who thinks it's about half of the housing the county's approving it? Okay, it turns out that the county is approving 20%. 80% is coming into our municipalities. So that means that the
Cities, the municipalities.
cities. Yeah, and so we have different philosophies in the county and the cities. The county is trying to reduce the amount of housing density that's coming in because we see it as a problem. I'll give you a couple of examples. Recently, there was a rezoning request that came in, and I won't get into too much detail, but the request was, hey, I want to build housing and commercial. And we said, no, you can do commercial only. That had not been done in over a decade, as far as I understand. Another example, a proposal came in and they said, well, we want to do housing. And we said, all right, we're legally obliged to allow you to do it. Otherwise, we're taking away your property rights. But we want to negotiate with you. Can you bring your housing density down? And we actually negotiated with them on the spot to make sure the density was down because we don't want to see high density housing because that makes it tougher to pay for services. So those are just two examples. I also wanted to provide that context that actually the majority of the housing, the vast majority, 80% is coming in through our cities. The county government, Roger's in the back, Department of Engineering, Planning and Zoning. He has a check the box function. He can't say, well, I don't like it. I'm going to say no. No. They just offer a building permit. They check the box. They are not in charge of approving the housing development. That does not happen at the county level, only for about 20% of the housing. And I gave you two examples where we're actually shifting the way we do business in Jefferson County.
And I want to just add, the Department of Highways also doesn't get a say. They don't get to say, hey, you know what, we have all this infrastructure that we're behind on, and we know that we need to expand the roads, so you guys can't add any more houses. They don't get a say. So I could tell you, I hear from a lot of constituents that they're upset about the infrastructure not being able to keep up. And I just want you to, it's not their fault. It's not the state government's fault. Like, what growth is happening in the Eastern Panhandle, it is going to take us years to be able to get it on a plan where it's gonna get built, where it's gonna get expanded. And then as we grow and we put houses, and this is one of my pet peeves, on every inch of land, then you're giving Department of Highways less land for them to expand a road. And that's one of the things, I don't think Jefferson County is as guilty as the other county I represent, of not planning ahead of time and leaving some easement for those expansions in the future. If you don't leave that space, it means the Department of Highways has to buy your house. If your house is in the way, that makes it a lot more expensive to do. So all those things are important to consider. And I'm very grateful to have a county commission that is thinking and planning and realizing these things. But I just want to make sure you guys know it. DOH is not at fault. I think you heard it.
Yeah, thanks. Zach Collin, Gate Force Shenandoah. So I guess my question is more so kind of split between the county and the DOH. So I know for big kind of housing developments, there's more kind of regulations in the permits and kind of the studies and things like that. I had a house built next to me, and it seemed like the builder basically could do whatever they wanted. They sort of destroyed the driveway. I believe DOH has actually been doing some work there, which is good. I saw, more some kind of pending things like that. But I was kind of confused during that process who I actually should deal with. So like I was dealing with like the Board of Zoning, and they said, well, it's actually the property enforcement board, and then they said it was the DOH. So I guess, is there a way to maybe hold these kind of more like local builders accountable, or more kind of individual home builders accountable? And I think a lot come from out of state, and I guess I was sort of unsure of who to go through, if that makes sense.
These rules are confusing. They're so confusing. I'm going to call on my staff to answer the question. Roger, can you explain how this works and who on your,
I'll get to him.
thank you, Senator. Who on your team can respond to what issue?
I'm Roger Goodwin. I'm the Chief County Engineer, the Director of Engineering, Planning and Zoning, and the Deputy County Administrator and the Building Code Official. So we have 17 people on our staff, and we work with the DOH. I've known Kenny for a long time. And we have meetings with the DOH about 3 times a year, which would include the counties and municipality representatives from Morgan, Berkeley, and Jefferson County. And we have a meeting coming up in November, and we'll go over all the development projects for everyone, what the issues are, what the status is, and make sure that the DOH and all of the planning and zoning representatives across the 3 counties are on the same page moving forward. We will have on the land development side, working with the DOH, there may be a requirement for a traffic impact study or some type of analysis, especially on a commercial project and large residential subdivisions, that there may be a requirement for center turn lanes, left, right turn lanes. DOH will control where their access to the subdivision or the commercial development needs to occur due to site distance, et cetera, and for safety reasons. So we work hand in hand with them in making sure that the improvements that are needed get implemented, and that usually the developer pays for. So we had it where Martin's installed a gas station down there at Martin's a long time ago, and a study indicated that a stoplight was needed there by the gas station, and the developer installed that stoplight as a requirement by the DOH. I think that light at that time was running about $200,000. Developer paid for that. So we work with the DOH, and I think we have a pretty good relationship. Development of subdivisions and commercial land comes through and gets reviewed by the staff to meet the requirements of the ordinances. It goes to planning commission. There will be public hearings in some cases. And then once everything is met, planning commission approves it, then the developer actually posts a bond for 115% of the estimated cost to do, whether it's a residential subdivision or commercial subdivision, for all the site improvements. So you take on some of these large subdivisions, we're holding as a county, we're holding bonds for $3, $4, $5, $6 million that guarantee that the developer will build the roads, stormwater management, the drainage systems, traffic control signs, anything that they said that they would build, that they built. So they have to post a bond guaranteeing that financial incentive.
Roger, let me ask this question as a hypothetical. I think it comes up. Oh, ma'am, go ahead.
In Shenandoah, when new houses are being built, the contractors that are building new houses are damaging state roads, and he's trying to get some support to have some amount to resolve.
So the question was, just for people following online the video, when there's construction going on in Shenandoah, the contractors are damaging state roads, and people want to be able to report that and have some sort of enforcement. Whose role is that? Which government entity?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I was leading into that. I was trying to give you an overview of how things work.
Thank
So
you, Roger.
with residential subdivisions here in Jefferson County, you have state roads maintained and owned by the DOH, and then you have municipal streets, Charlestown, Ranson, they're responsible for certain streets. And then all the subdivisions outside the municipalities have to create a homeowners association and collect fees and oversee the maintenance of all the common areas, whether it's stormwater management, the roads, the drainage, parks, playground equipment, whatever was built. So any damage to a subdivision street would be a civil matter between that builder and the HOA. It's up to you to enforce any requirements you have to prevent them from damaging your road. For Shenandoah, that's DOH roadways, I think, taken in under the Orphan Road Program, and that would be a matter, I guess, between the Shenandoah residents and the builder and the DOH, I guess, to work out how that matter is going to be addressed.
I happen to know a little bit about that code, and DOH does have the ability to sue a homeowner if they damage a state road. They can and they will, and they can put a lien against your property too. to demand that you fix what you ruined. Having said that, you were asking about who to report it to and how to make it easier to report. I think that's something that is missing. I don't think it's an easy way to get to the right person to report what you're seeing. So I can tell you that that's something we can discuss with Ken and see what would be the appropriate avenue to report something like that. And when it comes to construction, a contractor from out of state very often who is not doing their job well, who is basically just doing whatever the heck they want, like you, yes. I can tell you, I recognize that problem. It is a problem that is serious in the Eastern Panhandle, not so serious in other parts of the state. I introduced a bill this last session to address it and to give our Department of Labor a way to keep these bad actors out of our state, and I could not get it through both houses. So it got through the Senate, it didn't pass the House. I believe that maybe Delegate Rodinair might sponsor it in the House this upcoming session and help me in the House.
Yeah,
But
I
we-
will. Getting it through the House is the problem.
Yeah.
You know our problems in the House.
It's unbelievably difficult to just have common sense, things like this. And because most of the state is not experiencing this problem, it's very difficult to get other legislators to understand why it needs to pass. It also, I will be honest, makes me look like a big government person. I had legislators, good conservative Republican friends of mine who are like, you're creating big government. And it's like, no, we need some tool to basically keep bad actors out. I mean, that's all we're doing. So I will tell you that this next year, our session begins mid-January. I would love you all helping me in writing in support of the legislation that we're going to be trying to get through. They need to hear from folks, and it's not just, Senator Rucker and Bill Reiner. So it's a very valid point, and I know it's happening.
Thank you. Hey, here, go ahead. Yeah. No, but he wants to address the issue.
Yeah, let me go with the DOH response on the driveway. If, you purchase a property, own a property, and it abuts only a state, maintained road, such as the Orphan or Harp Road in Shenandoah, we have to give you a driveway. We have to give you access to your property. If there is damage to state road, please go to the Division of Highways or Department of Transportation website, transportation.wv.gov. Look for road repair request or SWAT and put that right there. That'll come through, then we'll know that the road's being damaged. Then we'll move forward from there. Many of the counties, in our district have been taking it upon themselves and working with us that they don't give out building permits unless they're driveway permits. So then we're kind of known at the situation. A lot of times we're out, the crews are doing their thing. You have to remember it's a crew. If they're mowing the grass, they mow the grass. If they're ditching, they're ditching. They're seeing some mud and things on the road. They want to get their task done that day. The core plan, it's what they are going to be graded on. It's what's going to be known in Charleston. Once you bring your concern to us, that starts a whole nother process that now we will investigate and respond to the problem. So if we all think about our jobs that we do, probably that one pass over there, and you have to, let me talk to the manager, let me talk to the supervisor. Even if you're at the fast food restaurant, the person at the window, they might not care. But when you get to talk to the manager, when you do the road repair request, you're talking to a supervisor, a manager, and things like that. You're making the problem aware. So if you're having that issue with your neighbor, maybe they're just putting everything in without even a permit from the county. Maybe they don't have a driveway permit. Maybe the bad actor. You say that I don't deal with bad actors weekly, monthly. We have to deal with bad actors up to the level of out-of-state contractors coming in and trying to use our own rules against us to make more money. So if we're not watching that we're watching millions of dollars leave. So to say that down to your level, sir, we're gonna get out there, but you need to kind of make us aware of it through that website and the road repair request. That's where you'll need to go.
Yeah, you actually say, thank you, it's actually, I called you all about a month or so ago, and then actually yesterday I saw, thank you. You know, I saw like the lines out there, so I appreciate you also doing that, so thank you.
Yeah, and remember that the DOH is the big government. It doesn't move daily, all right? It doesn't move hourly. The big tree that fell across your road and clogged up and the ambulance didn't get there. We have a tree cutting season. We cut any tree from November 15th to March 30th. Otherwise, it's environmental and we actually have to get permit to remove this tree. However, it's a big, dead, hazardous tree. We can take care of that 1 year round. That's still a road repair request. It's called a road repair request. But all of these issues that you're bringing up are road repair requests. So don't think there's a different place you need to find. If there's anything that has to do with the roads that you think maybe the Division of Highways takes care of, put the request.
Most of the tree down across the road, my deputies will be dispatched to, and dispatch and Jefferson County Emergency Communication Center will be contacting Department of Highways to get the tree moved. All right, it's not just gonna sit there, all right? So, but the way it works is my deputies will be dispatched to the location, and then my deputies will say, I got a tree down across the road, it's touching wires, notify Potomac Edison, notify Department of Highways, and we'll stand by until they get there and the tree is removed.
If there's power lines, somebody's a whole nother game. Other people power involved.
Hi, I'm Kelly. I am from Gateport, near Zach. I want to bring us back a little bit to the conversation about the snow removal. So I've been up here 40 years and I do understand the priority of 81, 340, just like 79. The one thing though that has become apparent is the amount of new subdivisions in Charlestown is an additional delay because they work their way out to Shenandoah. So there's not enough crews. So what is the option? It used to be that it was illegal for a private person who had a plow on the front of their truck to hit one of those state roads on Mission. So if we can't privatize or try and get a third party in to help on Mission Road, can homeowners start to help? Because this is the first year in 40 years I've ever seen a situation. We had a fire truck damage and 2 ambulances damaged on Mission Road, trying to get somewhere where someone slid into them because those roads were not done. So it's becoming a safety issue. So how can we get around it rather than just asking the state to do it is my question. What provisions can we put in place to help instead of waiting for you guys to come up with a solution?
I'm gonna let DOH go first, but I can tell you that we have done legislation to expand abilities for folks to be able to help DOH, but because of liability issues, the responsibility has to be given to people who are certified, trained, and so forth.
Thanks for answering that part of it. I will tell you that in our district, it takes every CDL driver and every truck dispatch to do the roads. There's no dump truck sitting in lot with plows on them. So I also mentioned the budget that we have in Shenandoah. We've actually made some improvements that do not cost us any other. It's more of a logistics. We now are stockpiling the skid that we put on the roads at Shenandoah. Shenandoah has about 62 miles of road just in Shenandoah. It would take, I'm gonna say somewhere around a dozen truckloads just to make one lap. And that's if it's just the maintenance, not an actual event, like we've cleaned it up, we're just getting more skid. We're gonna try something new this year. I guess I'm letting the cat out of the bag. We didn't really want to be telling a lot of people unless it worked. We're actually gonna start bringing in, skid steers, the little bobcats with tracks on them, with snow plows on them. They can maneuver easier, run faster. We don't need another truck. We have these. So now we're trying to outfit other pieces of equipment. We have, secondary contracts. We can only use them in a state of emergency. We have to pay by the hour. They have to be certified contractors and approved upfront. So there could be other, this would be the ultimate of everybody gets together on a road and decides you do not want DOH maintenance anymore. We can turn the road back over to a homeowners association. That's the opposite of what we did when we took Shenandoah on. So if, you and your neighbors do not like the service the DOH provides, we can give it back to a different organization. That is possible. That just is less for us to do, but I would caution against that, obviously.
I understand the whole balance, daunting. I'm just afraid of just mission.
Okay.
I just want to clarify, the mountain's daunting.
Yeah.
When you move to the mountain, you expect gravel roads. You should know this if you move to a mountain. If you don't,
Sure.
please go back to Virginia or Maryland or wherever you came from, sorry. But Mission Road is the road I'm referring to, right? It's like we've just discussed. It is a single in, it is a single out, only emergency vehicles can get through. And I'm sorry, in 97, I think we put through that request to have that emergency cut through for 7 with the gate, and it was denied by Virginia. So I've been around, you're never gonna win that battle, Virginia. But it's just Mission Road,
Okay.
right? And
Yeah.
so it went from, it used to come up to the stop sign, actually, the 4-way stop at Gate 34. And if you
Yeah.
remember from there forward towards John Brown Farm, that was considered secondary, and there were a number of private folks that did it.
Right.
But I'm just thinking, I know the big mountain, but that core, getting down, if we can get down to that core, because the school buses only do that road as well. But just keeping Mission, those hills. So if we have a 4-wheel drive in an emergency, because there's always people say, hey, I need to get someone have 4-wheel drive, come help me. But it's the Mission, those, because it's paved, it gets slippier than a gravel that has traction.
I actually talked about this, about the maintenance assistant that takes care of Jefferson County today. Mission Road's a priority 2 road. And now that we're stockpiling we actually will stockpile some salt. Mission Road can get a little bit of salt and, more like a mix of salt than this. Layman's term is cinders, but we call them abrasives. They're actually just small gravel. So with the addition of trying the skid steer method on the mountain, that's gonna free up the trucks to stay down lower on the roads. We are thinking about that exact scenario, man, because when there is an accident, we do know about accidents. We do get those reports. And if it's a fire truck, we definitely get those. And we do believe exactly it's the skidding on to the Mission Road. So that's why we're gonna try something new that costs a minimal amount to hopefully provide a better service for the main road. Because that was our conversation today. From Mission Road up, it's priority 3. We're gonna keep it the same. But from that 4-way stop or I know Shenandoah a bit, but not well, but you know, the mailboxes, that area, we're trying to get. That's the thing, to the 4-way stop. I don't think we're gonna make it out to the farm. I think we're gonna still keep that as the, lower priority, which is 3 is a lower. priority, like the roads on the mountain. But from the four-way stop in, we're gonna try to get it to the priority 2 level. And that way, with the main road in and out, so we are gonna try to provide a better level of service. As long as our plan that we're implementing is gonna be a benefit, so.
Thank you.
After one snow event, we have to go back to the 1-ton or the pickup trucks on the mountain. That's taking those vehicles out of the rest of the roads. So we do think we have thought about this. So I'm hoping you have a better result after this winter. And I'm praying for a mild winter, by the way.
Okay, a couple of things, Ken, and I want to try and get a higher priority for the folks in the Shannondale, Silver Grove, Blue Ridge Acres area on not just Mission Road, but Hostel Road, Chestnut Hill Road, because they face similar situations. I mean, you're taking your life in your hands in any kind of a snowstorm, driving down to 340 on Chestnut Hill Road. I mean, you got a real thrill coming there. Most people on bobsleds wouldn't go down that road.
Go the other way.
Yeah, go up. Right. So, and you never know what's underneath the snow. Is there a giant rock under there or not? So it's not just Mission, it is those other roads. But, you know, I recognize municipalities are a significant priority. If you made Shannondale, Blue Ridge Acres, Silver Grove a municipality, I think would probably be the 26th largest city or town in West Virginia. So we need to be able to take care of the folks here on the mountain, in those areas, and get a little bit higher priority. So those areas are freed up so that they can go and commute into Virginia and Maryland and earn the money that they're going to pay in income taxes to ensure the state government's running. So we need to be taking care, I think, a better job of those areas. I get it. We want to try and take care of 340. We want to take care of 81. And we want to try and make sure that the folks on Route 9 are able to get in. But we got to be able to get the folks to Route 9, to 340, and to 81. So I'd like to see us get a higher priority there. Okay? And I'm going to continue to push that issue.
So,
I'm sorry, David's next.
Here.
So I'm getting ready to make a statement that I don't normally make. And that's to defend the elected positions and what they're designed in the Constitution says is their responsibility. So with that, how many of you have been to a planning and zoning meeting? Every 2 weeks. That's where you can make a difference. You look at their drawings. You look at their structure. Look at their stormwater. Look at their permits. Look at the access. Mr. Goodwin over here already said, they have to follow the rules. If we're not in that room telling them that they need to follow the rules, guess what can happen? It already did. So, volunteer your time. Do this. Don't ask the elected officials in this room to do it for you. Please. I've been here all my life. All my life. Been paying taxes all my life. Employment, payroll, all my life. 1636 is when my family came. And their friends and family and everything else built what was here. Can you imagine in 1636 what this place was like? They did not have a highway department problem. They didn't have a sheriff problem. They took care of all this stuff themselves. Come on, people. Volunteer your time, your expertise. Bring it and tell these people you have concerns. They need to go to the legislation. Send them your message. Don't just sit here and talk about it. Please. This is really, really, really important. So you can make a difference. Planning and zoning is very strong. Back to the impact fee. 20 years ago, we had an impact fee of $15,000 to $20,000, depending on how many bedrooms. Then elected officials, county commission, decided to reduce it. So increase the impact fees is only because somebody reduced it. If we would have still had $15,000 to $20,000 per house, there wouldn't have been as many people here, guaranteed. So you, the voters, need to make sure that you start to understand what the elected officials are doing. I did. I go to the county commission meetings, watch legislation, planning and zoning, everything that I can do. But if you don't get involved, if you don't volunteer, and you haven't put in your time, then don't come and complain and then leave. Complain and then follow it up, please. We're in a serious situation. Not just our county. It's not just our state. It's the United States and even the world. I know people from all over the world. They're having the same problem. So don't feel like that it's all pointed at you. It's all. And if we're not all involved, then it's nothing. So, yeah, appreciate that. Appreciate their service when they're doing it right, but also stand up and challenge them when they're doing it.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna go back to something that was said way back at the beginning of the meeting, and that was about the UH budget being flat. And the fact that it is funded through gasoline taxes. Is there appetite in Charleston to, nobody wants to pay extra taxes, but to put a penny or two extra on a gallon of gas in order to deal with some of these issues? Because clearly, bridges and infrastructure are huge throughout the entire state. Roads are an issue, congestion is an issue. Is there appetite for that in the legislature? Or is that just no?
That's a valid question. I have not heard anyone bring that up. As I said, when we have asked DOH to do more, we have ponied up more money from the general revenue for them to do that. But I have not heard of anyone. And I will tell you, a lot of us ran on not raising taxes. So we truly are trying to live within our means, just like you have to. It would be, I think, one of the things that Governor Morrissey would like to do is to cut government, because there's a lot of government that may not be necessary in the state of West Virginia. Our population has gone down, but the size of government grew, and that doesn't make sense. And there may be efficiencies that we find there. But it's a valid question. And at the end of the day, if the voters want us to prioritize roads and to give more money for that, I think it would have to come from the voters. Is my thought.
Yeah, we've added about $100 million each year that I've been there to the Department of Transportation to address many of the issues, particularly bridges, but many of the other roads. And you've seen significant improvements around West Virginia, but there are a hell of a lot of challenges. And I'll bring up an issue that I've raised with the Secretary of Transportation. It's a resolution that I plan on putting in again, and that's to move us to decentralize our state road system into a county road system, so that the counties are in fact responsible for everything other than our interstates, our major state highways, so that we have a decentralized system, and then facilitate the funding for that via the gasoline taxes to the counties so that the counties can in fact prioritize what roads need to be worked on, what roads need to be improved, bridges, et cetera. Because I think that a decentralized system is a much better system for us. It was centralized in the 1920s for a wide variety of reasons. Maybe David could address those because his family's been here forever, but the roads were in awful condition in the 20s. That situation is no longer the same here in West Virginia. And I think we need to be looking at the way that other states have in fact decentralized their system.
As long as the taxes that are collected in the district stay in the district. That's one of our problems is the state
I was about to say the same thing.
takes our property taxes and our, all the other taxes that get collected in this county and they distribute it across the rest of the state.
Absolutely.
And so
I know
we
the
have to make
governor's-
sure.
Yeah, the governor's trying to make sure that we are in fact doing a decentralization of our state government. This would be an aspect of that. I think it would benefit the entire state because the prioritization, I think, is critical for counties to be able to determine where we need to apply the resources. So.
Can I speak to that?
Yeah.
Very interesting concept. I'd love to learn more about it at first blush, I would say. Pay the gas tax, you also gotta pay the electric bill. A very interesting concept. That's something, I would support. Delegate, if you need me to come down there and explain why that would be good for Jefferson County, I'm happy to do that.
No problem.
I've also discussed this, in terms of water resource management as well. We have unique water problems here in Jefferson County. It's different from the rest of the state. We have something called karst topography, a lot. It's wet underneath us, right? And the rest of the state isn't like that. So we have unique challenges. And if we were able to control the funds that are proportionate to our area and direct them towards what we think is most important for water management, it'd be very interesting as well.
The gentleman over there's got a question.
Oh, okay,
Most
real quick before you start. I want to point out, we are supposed to be out of here by 8 and we are getting close to that time. And there's something that I want to make sure I get to say before we run out of time. So just 1 minute. So decentralization, we believe that works best when the decisions are made locally. When it comes to your road, Shannondale is a huge subdivision that does not have a functioning HOA. And I have to tell you that honestly and truly, if you want not just maintenance of the road and you want to actually improve the road, that really comes down to you. You should consider taking this control, having an HOA, raising the funds to improve the road. Until you do that, the only thing we're doing is maintaining what's currently existing. Just understand that. You want your roads to be improved, to be like other subdivisions with paved roads, banded roads, that happens locally. So I want to point that out, and it's not popular, but that's the way that those subdivisions maintain their road. And DOH did bring it up, that they're happy to work with you. Normally, the homeowners associations are the ones that determine the priorities for their subdivision. And one of the difficulties we have, the Shannondale is the largest subdivision in the entire state. You just cannot expect that the entire state of West Virginia changes its rules, changes its funding because you guys have this unique situation. So I want to throw that out. I want to make sure I say that before this meeting ends, because listen, I know it's not popular. I know you don't want to pay HOA fees. I know you don't want someone telling you what to do, but you control them. You control that destiny. And I just want to point that out.
Senator, can I just, there's another type of alternative, and I'm not an opponent of the HOA concept, but for those people who want to have purple houses, you can have a road assistance association, which would just be focused on the roads. And that may be a better alternative for those people who do multicolored, multi-hued houses and stuff. So, or they're grass 3 feet tall. But consider that. I think that people of Shenandoah should in fact consider that, and potentially on some of the awful roads that I've been on up there, it may be better to go ahead and have a road assistance association try and take back the road, and see if you can improve it and hopefully get to the point where, you know, it's somewhat manageable, for a normal four-wheel drive and not a tank.
Mike, have you drawn up anything about that? Have you drawn up anything?
On road assistance associations,
What that looks like?
Yeah.
I don't think we'd necessarily need legislation
No,
to do that.
I just think legislation, is there,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. There's organizations, national organizations that literally give you, this is the way to do, and this is the, you know, the way you could.
Thank you. I just want to comment on that. I don't know which is the better option, but I think what you're hearing from your elected officials in Charleston is real talk. Tell them like it is. Okay, I'm not in Charleston, but my understanding is, and I've heard this over and over again, but the folks in Charleston are listening to the needs of people all around the state, and many of them are much poorer, much more desperate than we are. It's a reality we have to recognize. And when you go down there and you say, well, we need more money up here, what some of those folks think is, hey, what about our people down in Southwest West Virginia? These people are dying from opioid overdoses. These counties are going into receivership. You guys are not the top priority. I don't speak for them. I just think that's the political reality. And we have to realize that if we're waiting in line, we're going to be waiting for a long time. So I think, I just want to applaud the delegate in the center for just telling it like it is down there. These are some challenges that are not going away.
I gotta tell you, I'm not at the legislature as much as these two fine people, but I'm in Charleston a lot. And, I've heard numerous times, well, that's an Eastern Panhandle problem. All right, that's because, and sometimes the other legislators are not receptive to our problems. They can agree with me, but I've heard that numerous times. That's an Eastern Panhandle problem.
They want to spend our money.
Oh, yes, you know, again, the highest median income in the state. All right, we pay more income tax than any other place, but yes, we are still, that's an Eastern Panhandle problem.
Yeah, the perception amongst a lot of the rest of the state is that we're all a bunch of millionaires and we have excess money. That does not go over real well with me. By the time they're done listening to me blister them, they've been corrected and they kind of move away. I'm not a fan of people who think that we are a bunch of millionaires. We have the same types of issues as everybody else in the state. I've got people dying of opioid overdoses in my district. I know, I've talked to the families. So I correct that pretty forcefully because I'm tired of the people and the employees, the state employees, to include our state police, who don't get the support that they need. They don't get the funding that they need in order to be able to take care of the issues that we have up here. So that's something that really frustrates me. And I let my frustrations be known to those who purport to
I want to point out,
punish us for some reason.
because we are paying all state employees the same set salary throughout the entire state, it means that our state employees are being robbed.
Right.
So the cost of living being so high up here, those state employees getting the same salary in other parts of the state can have a pretty nice life. Not so much over here. And we make that point and we fight for it. And I can tell you, all the delegation that represents the Eastern Panhandle is unified. Every single session, every single year, we try and try and try. We will not quit and we will keep fighting for it, but it is a real problem. And let me point out, these folks from DOH and the folks from the county and Mr. Kogel, none of these people had to be here tonight. The sheriff did not have to be here and his deputies did not have to be here. Please show them your appreciation because they are here on their own time to listen to you and to tell you that they care about these issues that we're having. So thank you so much, all of you.
Let me bring up a couple of issues that I wanted to get to. One issue I wanted to bring up with Ken and Sorry, I keep.
I,
Kyle, trash, on the roadways. I mean, that's a perennial issue that we have, in Jefferson County. There's often an issue on 115 Chestnut Hill Road. How can you all address that? How do you address that? And is there some way that we can do a better job of trying to make sure we got the trash picked up in those areas?
I think we have volunteers on.
Yeah. There's a group of volunteers, Shannon, there. It's very nice to see a group of volunteers, there are more than 10 people with trash bags, and they're collecting. Every year they do that. So the gentleman is right, we have to participate too. Nobody's gonna come to do things if we don't do it. And mostly, I want to applaud for your presence, for your dedication. I know each one of you. I've been in meetings. I had the opportunity to go to the Capitol and listen to Senator Rucker. And you, all her bills passed, your bills are passed, so your efforts are incredible. I really applaud for your presence, Sheriff, and so do the same. You guys make tremendous efforts, you're passionate. And I don't know if most of you know them, but I can reassure you, these people are passionate. They serve, they care, they dedicate their time. They represent us proud, and I'm very proud to have people like them representing us. They're here listening to us, but we have to and help them, assist them. I really applaud for your efforts, your passion. I will vote for you over and over. Thank you.
More than one. Can you address it, the
Sure.
trash issue?
Yeah, the litter on the road, littering's illegal, but the DOH is not an enforcement agency. State would have an adopt a highway if the citizen or a volunteer organization. A lot of the roads here, are probably dangerous. So the volunteer groups that don't want to pick up trash in certain places. Chestnut Hill's probably a good example of an area that would be, if these adopt a highway organizations are planning a pickup, we would like to, and I'm sure the sheriff can probably get some of those, fellers that you were talking about, do the parades and stuff. We could possibly run a little bit of a traffic, either the DOH or work together to help the volunteers. At the end of September, we actually will donate bags, vests, and gloves to a registered Adopt a Highway. I think it was September 24th, if that was a Saturday, I'm not very good. You could have came to a DOH garage and we would have gave you the bags, the gloves, and the vest. Yeah, things that you need, other things that you'll need. So the more people you get in on those days will help out. Unfortunately, right now, litter pickup is happening around the grass mill, around our mowing. That's about the only time that we can budget, so we kind of do that in conjunction with each other. This feller back here says, keep us to the rules. I'll tell you, that's not what the rule says. So we're supposed to pick up the litter more often. And I would love to be like, hey, today we don't got nothing and we got the budget. Let's go pick up some litter. We're doing a pretty good job on the interstate and the bigger routes, but the same thing, it gets prioritized down. And unfortunately, when you get to around Chestnut Hill and 115 and around, Mission Road, we're really starting to rely on volunteers at this.
If you see someone dumping trash, everybody's got a phone now, take a picture, license plate or whatever. Dial 725-8484, that's a non-emergency number. It's like dialing 911 only if it's not an emergency, right? Like deputies will come out. If we have a picture or something about it, that some sort of description, then we can prosecute. Actually, I hate to say it, but it's typically, it's a DNR call, but there's only one DNR in I think 2 counties, so it'd be my deputies responding. I have the largest police agency in the county. My deputies handle 95% of the calls for service in the county. And we'll be very happy to send somebody out, very happy to send a deputy out to check on somebody dumping trash. Now, regarding the Adopt a Highway, we routinely get requests for reserves to help out. They're all in marked police cars with light bars. So, and to try to slow people down, we do the one on Flowing Springs Road down from Jefferson High School and things like that. So if you have if you have an Adopt a Highway or you're part of a group that Adopt a Highway, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or somebody in my command staff or even my administrative staff, and they'll contact my sergeant that's in charge of the reserves, and we'll get somebody out there.
We're getting close to 8. I just want to wrap with this. I pride myself on being very accessible as a public official. I knock on thousands and thousands and thousands of doors. That's not an exaggeration. There's only 2 people, I would think, in the entire state of West Virginia who knock on as many doors as I do, and they're standing right next to me. This crew up here, we're going to go door to door, not only on the mountain, but throughout the county and our districts, because we want to hear from you. That's why we're here tonight. We have done more town halls as a county this year than have taken place any year in the past decade. So, and my phone number is 304-306-0997. If you want to give me a call or shoot me a text, that's 304-306-0997. And when it comes to accessibility and listening to our friends and neighbors, I got to say, I'm incredibly proud to be standing up here next to Bill Ridenhour, Patricia Rucker, and Tom Hansen. Thank you all for being here, Delegate.
Yeah, these are they're relatively simple issues. They're just hard. I mean, it'd be nice if we had some sheriff that won a couple of $100 million who'd be happy to donate money to our roads.
It's going
here.
again.
Yeah. But we don't. So I would encourage you to look at some of the solutions we talked about. Some of the solutions that District 5 brought up relative to culverts on your driveways, not using salt, taking a look at how you have gravel, if you do have a gravel driveway, and the effects that that would have on the road. Anything we can do to improve the road system that we currently have, or are sentenced to, however you want to term that, that will help us hopefully get better roads in the future. I mean, I'm committed to trying to do what I can to see if we can improve our road and transportation system in the district and in the county. And I'm going to continue to work with District 5 and the Department of Transportation. It's not an easy job for them. We need to try and get more resources for them in terms of locality pay. I'll use that term again, so that we can actually get the numbers of folks up here that can help us out relative to snow removal, relative to maintenance and other things we do need to do for the road system.
One more thing that I just thought of. So I have posted it on my on my Facebook. I'll post it again. The SWAT number that he was talking about, the number to call, I will post it again on my Facebook page, and I also put it on Shenandoah Neighbors, and please share that widely and everywhere. And if there's any other resources that we talked about tonight and you didn't catch it, please just reach out to one of us. We check our own emails on our numbers, so we get your messages.
Yeah, if you can, send us an email. That's the best way to get a hold of me, is to send it to my house email. If you have a road issue, if you have a transportation issue, I mean, if your helicopter isn't functioning in the airspace, you know, please let me know and we'll see what we can do. But that's the best way to contact me, is via my house email, which is william.ridenhour@wvhouse.gov. Sure.
I really don't have a whole lot to say. You've heard it all. I want to thank everyone for coming. I want to thank everybody for listening and giving us questions that we were able to try to answer. A lot of it's, we know, unfortunately. I'm going to let you know, and I've said this numerous times, there's not a moment, not a second, not an iota of second that I'm not proud of each and every one of the men and women that put my star on and protect this county. Because this county's my home. And if it's not for us, who will? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to our two bailiffs. Thank you for keeping us safe. Tonight, back to Blue. Good night.